The clearer you see, the harder it becomes to stay. Not to stay motivated, not to stay productive, to stay in the same rooms with the same people, having the same conversations. And nobody warned you about this. Think about the last time you were in a meeting. A decision was being made, and you could see clearly that it was the wrong one. Not because you were smarter, not because you were better, but because you were paying attention in a way the room was not. And you have two choices: say it or stay quiet. Most people stay quiet, not because they lack of the words, but because they already know what happens when they don't. The room shifts, people become defensive, the energy changes, and somehow you become the problem. This is not social failure. This is a cost of clarity. We talk about clarity like it is a reward, like if you just think hard enough, read enough, observe enough, you arrived somewhere better, and you do. But arriving somewhere better doesn't mean you arrive somewhere easier. Because clarity does not show you what is right, it shows you what is wrong. And most environment, most relationship, organization, social structures are not built around truth. They are built around comfort. And that the moment you start operating on clarity, you stop being comfortable to be around. In 1951, psychologist Solomon ran a now famous experiment. He put a group of people in a room and showed them two lines on a card. One line was clearly longer than the other, but everyone in the room who were secretly actors said the shorter line was longer. And one by one, the real participants changed their answer. Not because they could not see the truth, but because disagreeing with the group felt more dangerous than agreeing with the lie. This is called normative conformity. And it is not weakness, it is survival mechanism. For most of human history, being excluded from the group meant death. So the brain learned agreement keep you safe, clarity keep you accurate, and those two things are not always the same. Here's what this means for you. Every time you see something clearly and choose not to say it, you are not being cowardly. You are running an ancient calculation. Is the truth worth the cost of isolation? Most people think the cost of clarity is a conflict. It is not. Conflict is temporary. The real cost is something quieter. It is a slow accumulation of a moment where you saw something clearly and said nothing. You are in a conversation and someone makes a claim you know is wrong. You say nothing. You are in a relationship and you can see a pattern forming that will not end well. You also say nothing. You are in a job and you can see the organization moving in a direction that will fail. You say nothing. And over time, this is what happens. You don't lose intelligence. You lose honesty. And most of us never even notice it's happening. Not honesty with others, honesty with yourself. Because the more you suppress what you see, the more you begin to doubt wherever you were seeing it correctly at all. This is what psychologists and philosophers sometimes call epistemic cowardice, the gradual erosion of your own perception in exchange for social peace. And this is where it becomes structural. Because clarity does not isolate you externally first, it isolates you internally. You begin operating in two moods simultaneously. The first mood is what I call perception mood. This is the version of you that sees things as they are, that notices the inconsistencies, that reads the room accurately, that understands what is actually happening. The second mood is social mood. This is the version of you that manages how you are perceived, that filters what you say, adjusts your observation to match what the environment can absorb. And here's the problem. Most people spend their entire lives running both moods simultaneously and exhausting themselves in the process. Because maintaining the gap between what you see and what you say is one of the most energy-intensive things a human can do. The philosopher Albert called this the absurd, seeing clearly while pretending you don't. He did not say the solution was to stop perceiving. He said the solution was to stop pretending the tension does not exist. This is where most people make the critical mistake. They feel the distance, they feel the exhaustion, they feel the friction, and they conclude, something is wrong with me. They go looking for the problem inside themselves. They ask, why can't I just relax? Why can't I just agree? Why do I always have to see the problem? But they are asking the wrong questions. The distance you feel is not a symptom or dysfunction. It is a signal of misalignments. There is a difference. The symptoms mean something inside you is broken. A signal means something outside you no longer fits. Not all distance is a loss. Sometimes it's alignment happening in real time. So what does it look like carrying clarity without being destroyed by it? It is not about saying everything you see. It's about becoming harder, more isolated, more detached. It is about building what I call the architecture of clarity. 4 structures. Structure 1, selective disclosure. Not every environment deserves your full perception. Clarity is a resource, and like any resource, it must be deployed strategically. There are rooms where your clarity will be received, and there are rooms where it will be punished. The discipline is knowing which is which. This is not dishonesty, it is precision. Structure 2, epistemic anchoring. When you spend enough time in environments that resist clarity, you begin to doubt your own perception. The antidote is deliberate anchoring. Writing down what you observe, returning to your own conclusion, maintaining a record of what you saw before the social pressure to unsee it began. Structure 3, environment curation. This is the most important structure. Your clarity will only survive in environments that can hold it. There are rooms where questioning is normal, where thinking is valued, where accuracy matters more than agreement. And there are rooms where comfort is protected, agreement is rewarded, and clarity is treated as aggression. Your experience of isolation is not always about people, it is about placement. Structure 4, the long view. History does not remember the people who agreed. It remembers the people who saw clearly and had the discipline to act on it before the room caught up. Galileo was not celebrated in his time. He was placed under house arrest. Darwin waits 20 years before publishing his theory because he understood the cost of clarity in an environment not ready to receive it. Clarity is not always immediately rewarded, but it always eventually validated. So here's where we arrive. Clarity will separate you from certain conversation, from certain relationship, from certain version of yourself you have been performing for years. That is not the problem. The problem is what you do after, because you have 2 choices. You can reduce your clarity to maintain connections, or you can accept the distance and use it to find where you actually belongs. The goal is not to be understood by everyone. The goal is to be accurate in the environment that matters. And here's the final truth. The loneliness you feel when you see clearly is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is a sign that you have outgrown the rooms that you are still standing in. Clarity does not isolate you. It reveals where you truly belong.